Hello everyone and welcome back to Abundantly Minimal. In today's video, I'll be sharing some things that I've finally decluttered after up to over 10 years in some cases. Sometimes we go through decluttering projects and there's stuff that we kind of push past, we don't even consider. Maybe we think it will be important to us long term, but then after we go back later with a fresh set of eyes or some different motivations or goals or objectives for life, we maybe get clarity about stuff that we thought we would never let go of, and now it's finally time. So in today's video, I'll be sharing 6 examples of this from my own life that has happened recently. The first one, which kind of inspired this video, was actually finally letting go of my viola, a musical instrument I started playing in 4th grade, played through school until 12th grade, and if we're being honest, hardly played the last 15-ish years. I brought it to college with me my first semester. I don't think I ever played it, or at most a couple times. And in general, I have been playing it less and less over time. In the last couple places we lived, I brought it to the new place, but I didn't actually play it. However, it wasn't something that I planned to let go of anytime soon until I was going through some old paperwork and some files that my mom had set aside. They were decluttering in their own house, and I noticed that the paper from when they purchased the viola for me as a gift in 8th grade was a buyback program. The shop that sold the viola was offering to buy it back for 70% of the original cost. And I, upon seeing that, wasn't just, money motivated, but realized, oh yeah, I guess I don't actually have to keep this. I really don't play it ever. It can represent a beautiful part of my childhood, and there were a lot of really cool people I met from doing it and opportunities I had, but it's just not part of me anymore. I don't desire to play it, and even if I had to choose like a musical instrument preference, I wouldn't choose that. I'd rather invest my time trying something like ukulele or piano or something. Long story short, I did decide to take it back to the buyback program, and they ended up giving $380 for it. Out of the original $900 that it was purchased for, this accounted for 70% of the original cost, as well as some deductions for little repairs that had to be made before they sell it to someone else. But it ended up making me very happy, and it felt quite freeing and empowering. I almost even felt uncomfortable carrying it to the shop, just because I was like, this does not feel like me anymore. But yet I was just holding on to it. I think in this example, there might be pieces from our past or something that was an old hobby or interest that just doesn't really make sense anymore, and maybe we don't identify with. But, I won't let this be your example or even permission, if you feel like that helps, to say, yeah, you know what? I can let this go, even if it seems like a nicer item or an item that, you wouldn't necessarily get rid of. I think there was something really freeing about letting that go. And in this case, there was also a financial incentive that was a nice bonus. Although even if they had given less, I think I still would have been happy because it was such a cute shop still. Another thing that I'm finally letting go of that I didn't necessarily see happening is this binder full of random business materials. These would be from courses I took or other toolkits and whatnot that helped me learn a lot about running an online business. And I really relied on these a lot, especially in my early days when I didn't really know what I was doing. And it gave me a wide array of skills as I was figuring out the directions of, was I trying to have my YouTube channel be a huge business, or trying to sell courses, or in my curriculum development work, figuring out how to improve that. So it was really helpful, but the truth is, not only do I literally never refer to these materials anymore, and also my business has changed. I mean, this YouTube channel is purely really a hobby at this point. It makes no money. But the idea of finally letting go of that chapter, I have a lot of confidence in the direction that we're headed. And also, even if I did want to use it, a lot of this information now is very outdated as the online business world continues to change. Everyone's trying to shove AI in everything, which I do hate, but that's just kind of the reality of this world right now. So I think it's just like, yeah, you know what? I'll probably never use this again, and it's finally time to let it go. My next thing, finally letting go of, is not so much a physical thing, but it is related to that business binder. And that is letting go of some of the big goals that I had for business or for, anything in life. Sometimes we set really unrealistic goals that we carry on with us for a long period of time that are maybe unreachable, maybe not, but we just realize that our own preferences have changed over time. And so a couple of those for me, in this YouTube channel, there was a really long time I thought it would be so cool to get this channel to 100,000 subscribers. It is a vanity metric. It doesn't really matter. I think there can be something very enticing for creators about reaching a certain benchmark. But when I really have reflected over the last couple of years especially, I realized I didn't want to do the things and sacrifice and push myself in the ways that could make that a reality. I could only make videos about trendy topics. I could really dive into YouTube Shorts or other platforms that have helped certain people, go viral. And the truth is, I don't even want to go viral. I don't actually need, more people watching me. It would have been cool to have have this channel be somewhat, successful or lucrative currently, but it's not, and that's fine. It's just kind of formally letting go of, hey, you know what? I'm not even bothering trying to achieve that anymore. It is what it is. And really, at the end of the day, hitting a certain goal doesn't necessarily mean that you're happy. It doesn't necessarily mean anything besides being just, one little check mark on some bigger, aspect of life. And likewise in our curriculum development business, which is 99% of what we do for work, I think I used to have this idea that I'm going to create ancient history, world history, all of US history, geography, all the social studies contents. I'm going to make full curriculums. I'm going to do it all. And while I certainly did a lot and pushed myself very hard over a period of about 6 years, I realized that I don't need to do it all. I mean, we do still get requests from people to make all these different subjects with curriculum, but it's like, hey, you know what? Let's take it one curriculum at a time. We'll take it slow. One curriculum might take several years to make, so who knows what the next 5 years hold? Who knows what the next 10 years hold? I need to be patient and maybe just say, yeah, you know what? I'm probably never going to get to the geography curriculum, or I'm never going to get to XYZ that I thought I would have. And that's okay too. It's not a race. It's not about trying to be the biggest achiever ever. And so I think if we can let go of these different goals that we've carried with us, it can feel very nice to just focus more on what is now and what actually is realistic and what matters. This next one is old pictures and likewise picture frames. This idea was sparked, unfortunately, a few months ago. Jake's grandpa passed away. And when Jake's mom and her sister were helping to clean out his house, they did actually find some of the pictures, like from our wedding that we had given them, and some other things, different family-related photos, and they, gave them to us. And that was very special. And those are special photographs themselves. But one of the photographs there was a random wedding picture. And what was really got me thinking is that just how that was over 11 years ago, and relationships change so much over time. And so in looking at our wedding photos in general, it really is such a time capsule, that period of time. And if we're being blunt, there's a percentage of people who came to our wedding that was the last time we ever saw them. Probably had to do with that we had just graduated college, and a lot of people who were in our social circles at that time, people moved everywhere and, started busy lives. So it is, I think, understandable, or relationships end and then you never see, like, if it's a family member, you never see, their former partner ever again. So I think it was just interesting to think, wow, these are wedding photos and we can certainly put them on a pedestal, but we can also, we don't necessarily have to display these because they're not necessarily all people in our lives anymore. Of course, we do still have photos of Jake and I, but even still, wedding photos are something that can be very fun, but it's only one piece of our journey. And I actually have other favorite photos of very magical times that have happened throughout the last 11 years of being married together. And so I think, it's a nice reminder that, hey, just because we printed something out and put it in a frame, we don't have to keep it out. We don't have to keep that one on the wall. Pictures can be dynamic. They can be part of your journey or part of your story, but not something that has to be a permanent fixture. It's just really about whatever is bringing you joy at the time. And I think with picture frames too, maybe this is a remnant of my past frugal self of not wanting to purchase new frames, but I think also I've found more peace in letting go of picture frames that really don't reflect our current style at all anymore, and having a really streamlined overall system or look for photos. And actually, gifting picture frames that you don't want anymore is a great option too, because a lot of people don't even print out photos as much anymore. So it can be a great gift option to print out the photo, and you can give one of your old frames in it if it fits the vibe of the photo. Easy, ready-made gift option. And over the last year or so, we've really focused on setting up our photos in a way that fits our style, and we don't need to keep old frames just because we have them. Earlier in the video, I mentioned how my parents have been doing some simplifying, and they were really awesome to hold on to a lot of the stuff that my sister and I used in case that we would want to use them in the future with our own kids. Now, if you saw my last video, I did talk about my infertility challenges, and so, I still am only operating from a place of hope, and with that in mind, I've reflected a lot and had a chance to go through a lot of them, specifically a lot of the dolls that we had. Because my sister and I, we created these elaborate, societies with these different types of dolls. And when we met up to go through them together in my parents' basement, and also then I took some things that were more valuable and have been working on selling some of them, I realized that there were too many what ifs. Like, holding on to all these things, that's fine, but in life there are so many what ifs, and when we save certain items with these what if strings attached, the odds or the probability of actually using them becomes quite low. So I'll use one example. We had some American Girl dolls, and those were definitely a more quality, I think, type of doll, and I think that a lot of them are still in really good condition, and I have been selling some. But when I was looking at them, I was thinking, okay, first of all, we got to have the kids, right? And then they have to be someone who wants to play with dolls in general, which now we're fast forwarding several years to the age that they can play with dolls, and do they even want to? And then I was thinking, well, shoot, like, even if they do want to play with dolls, do they want to necessarily play with this old one, or are they more interested in the newer ones that are available? And likewise, we had some old like Barbie dolls and that we had saved, and we're also in pretty good condition. And this is funny, but Jake and I even randomly walked around like the toy aisles in some stores just to see like what the current toy landscape was. And the funny thing about the Barbie dolls is that those dolls from, I guess, mostly the 90s or maybe early 2000s, like the bodies of the dolls are so different now. And like I don't know the exact specifics, but I think the proportions of those 90s or early 2000s dolls were like so unrealistic and crazy. The waist, the height ratio, the necks, I think it could contribute potentially to like poor body image standards. And when we actually saw the Barbies that they currently had now, I was like, hey, these look a lot more realistic. I mean, I'm sure there's still plenty of problems if we really analyze it. But I was like, I don't think we need to have like, oh, these like unrealistic Barbies mixed with, these other ones. I just realized that we could let it all go. And again, when you're much younger and you don't know what path your life is going to take or what path anything will take, you might say, oh yeah, let's save it. But then when you're actually approached with the reality of things and what may or may not happen, as well as, what's currently available, in this case with toys today, it's like, yeah, we probably actually don't need those at all. And that was actually pretty easy to let go of, but they did unfortunately sit there for like 15 years in my parents' basement. So definitely could have helped them let it out sooner. And the last thing I'll share today is with these Hauga pieces of furniture from IKEA. These were purchased back in 2021, and Jake and I were working together full-time for the first time. And we wanted to give our office, which was our second bedroom of the condo, a much more professional feel. And so we built these IKEA pieces. I think all three of them together were about $550, so definitely a bit more affordable considering it's three large pieces of furniture. It took like 2 days to build, and it was a great way for us to organize so many of our teaching materials. These were materials both from our classrooms. This was other things we accumulated for work purposes, and we had a lot of different school supply related accessories. And again, at that time, it was really helpful. We needed all that space because we had just, stopped teaching and had tons of extra school supplies that we had purchased for our classrooms, as well as still being relatively new in business. I wasn't sure if I'd be doing a lot of product photography, so I had a bunch of supplies for that. But as time has gone on, we've actually been gradually emptying out different parts of it and realized, hey, we don't actually use the fun paper that often, or we didn't use all this cardstock. We didn't really use all these colorful Sharpies and stuff dried out. Over time, we've been able to pare down, and actually some of these are not even really necessary anymore, or they're very empty at this point. We are working on gradually working through the contents, and we are planning on letting at least several of them go. Though they do still kind of look great in the space, I think the truth is, just because we have this storage organizer doesn't mean that it will continue to be valuable. And in the several moves we've done in the recent years, it is true that they have encountered some damage. One of the shelves broke off. You can't see some of the damage, but there are pieces that are bent and less sturdy at this point than they were. So it's not necessarily something I have a ton of confidence in, especially the tall ones. And it's also just part of growth. I mean, I still think IKEA is a great place. I think they have a lot of unique options, and I do like that they have a lot of affordable pieces. But I also think that this represents maybe more of our past selves, where we're just like, hey, cheapest price is what we want. Quality is not our number one concern sometimes. And I would like to continue optimizing for quality as we move forward. But the truth is we also don't need a replacement as we continue to streamline. So eventually we're working our way through. Those shelves will all be empty, and then it will be probably time to let them go, offer them to someone else. Those are just a couple examples of things that we've had for a while, in some cases over a decade, of things that, it's finally time to let go. I hope that these different examples can maybe help you think about your life and your space if there is something that has been in your life for a long time but really doesn't need to stay. And I encourage you to get a little creative with this as you reflect about what that might be. Thank you so much for watching. I'll put some videos up here if you'd like to check them out, and feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We'll see you next time. Bye.